Okay, the program, the economy stalls. Whose fault is it? Is it Labour's, Nationals, Donald Trump's, or the Reserve Bank? And does National have any idea what will happen next? What should happen is the Reserve Bank should cut the OCR further. How much more evidence do they need? It's a dog out there. And the miracle weight loss drug, Wegovy, $500 a month. Should it be funded? When will it be funded? And does it work? A nutrition expert will join me shortly. Welcome to the program.
Are we paying these people to front up, or are we paying them to fly to Wellington to eat their lunch? Should you really lose your career for refusing to take part in a 90-minute lesson about Māori culture? This government doesn't actually have any idea how to get economic growth. Show us what you made of, Prime Minister.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Okay, you're with the Editor-in-Chief. Evening, everybody. I'm Duncan Garner. Welcome along, and please subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. Do all that. It really helps us to stay around. The economy has stalled again. What does the data tell us? People are desperately cashing in KiwiSaver at record rates. And do we believe Nicola Willis that good things aren't far off? She's repeating herself, isn't she? Didn't they say this last year? Wasn't it going to get to 25 and survive? Also, Dr. Boyd Swinburn on the new miracle weight loss drug Wegovy. This is a miracle. Could it be you? So let's go.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, this simply wasn't how it was meant to be, was it? Remember the catch cry, survive to 25. Well, we are here, and we're barely surviving. And Nicola Willis, Finance Minister, has had to concede that things aren't great, and New Zealand is not where we want it to be.
I mean, it's been a tough time, hasn't it? It's both we're an economy that has been recovering in terms of coming back from that period of high inflation, really high interest rates, and the strangle that put on a lot of economic activity. And just as we were getting back onto our foils, as it were, in the first few months of the year, and you saw that, our growth rate was twice what Treasury had been forecasting and what people thought was possible. Things were starting to come along, and then come April, there were some reasonably significant announcements by the US President that sent ramifications throughout the world, around the world. Growth forecasts have been downgraded. There's been considerable uncertainty. And little old New Zealand, just recovering, has been really impacted by that. And you've seen that. That's affected businesses' confidence about what the future looks like, therefore their investment decisions. It's affected the way that, therefore, people are feeling in their families and communities. So I'm very conscious of it. Good news is we are still forecast to keep growing this year, and for that growth to accelerate as we look ahead.
Yeah, but twice burnt, twice shy. That's what we were told last year, Minister. And, Minister, credibility is an issue here, isn't it? Because this was meant to be the year of growth, of economic activity, where this government would show us the results of its program. It would show us it knew what it was doing, and there'd be some rewards, finally, for all the hard work and patience, for hanging in there, which is what our workers and businesses have done. Those that have made it this far anyway, they've hung in there. We were meant to be turning the corner after years of suffering what seemed like a really, really long recessionary period. But the bad news is that the good news has failed to show up. We've got ourselves a dog of an economy right now that lacks all manner of get-up. It lacks investment, lacks confidence, lacks leadership, and it's bred tens of thousands of our best, skillful and hardest working workers, talent, Kiwis, to Australia. And even immigration into this country now has slowed. And all this was happening well before Trump's trade war with the world, which in turn saw every business hit the pause button. But it didn't end there. The world's business owners collectively shat themselves in the same 24-hour period, and all of them pulled their curtains, turned off the heater, and they just sat there and froze. And it's all highly convenient for Nicola Willis, you see, who was only too happy to point the finger at Trump and say, oh, that's the perfect excuse over there. Put all our problems and woes at the feet of Donald Trump, especially given next year is election year. So, look, we're sorry, guys. We wanted it to be better, but it's not our fault. It's Mr. Trump's. And the PM and Winston have been scurrying around the world doing deals, trying to get our name up in lights. But tourism hasn't returned to pre-COVID levels, nor has the number of international students. They're all crucial because it brings new money into the country, you see. So we're not anywhere near the levels that we were at. But solely blaming Trump, it's easy to do that. But we were in trouble well before then. Statistics and data are revealing. Look at this. Unemployment continues to climb, 5.1%. It's expected to go further over the next 6 months. So it's going to get higher. As a result, welfare payments have exploded. Almost 400,000 New Zealanders now are on a main benefit. That's up 8% on last year, which was up 10% the year before. So that's 30,000 more people on welfare in 1 year. Electricity prices, your power bill, 11% and climbing, that's up. Rates are up in some areas by 20%. Your salaries aren't going up by this. Food prices continue to climb. Dairy prices have been strong globally, but at the overnight auctions this week, prices were down for the fourth consecutive time. Something for our farmers to worry about, perhaps. Butter's through the roof. And people simply can't afford the basics. A friend of mine put a set of bunks on Trade Me this week, and she was inundated with sob stories, people saying they needed them for their kids, that didn't have beds or bunks or anything for them at all to sleep in. So, despite actually selling the bunks for $200 on Trade Me, she actually gave them away to someone who'd rung with a sob story. She gave them to a desperate family for free. Centrix data shows a massive increase in New Zealanders who can't pay their bills now. New data reveals more people on hardship and struggling, a 14% increase from last year. So there's a new 15,000 people facing real difficulties for the first time. 22,000 people are overdue on their mortgage repayments. 485,000 are behind on their bills in some way or another. 81,000 of them are 90 days late, 3 months late. Listen to this.
So I saw those numbers, and it is a reality of the fact that as an economy recovers, the last thing that fixes itself is always unemployment. And we are in this point, what economists predict is peak unemployment in terms of our economic recovery. So even prior to the election, Treasury was forecasting that at this point, unemployment would be just a bit higher than it actually is now, and then it comes down. And so when unemployment is higher, of course, that is when you see people unable to pay their bills.
Withdrawals from KiwiSaver for hardship reasons have grown rapidly in recent years and show no sign of slowing down. Over the year to June 2024, a total of $300 million was withdrawn from KiwiSaver for hardship reasons. That's a 188% rise from the year to June 2019. 12-fold rise since the year to June 2012, which is the earliest data that was available. A total of 32,480 withdrawals were made over the year to June 2024. That's huge. That's the entire stadium in the Sky Stadium in Wellington. Full. All those people making withdrawals. That's 94% more than over the year to June 2019. And more than 4 times compared to the year June 2012. So people are struggling. They need their money now. The average amount being withdrawn has also increased. Over the year to June 2024, the average amount withdrawn was $9,252. That's a 66% increase with the year to June 2019. Wow. As the price of everyday items rises, living expenses increase, and people facing financial hardship need to withdraw more from KiwiSaver to meet these increases. I can see why people break open their KiwiSaver, but it means that their retirement's then messed up, isn't it? Breaking open long-term savings is not the long-term solution, surely. We've got to do better. The construction sector is in real trouble. House consents are at their lowest in 7 years. Property and hospitality and tourism businesses are all facing huge difficulties. Company liquidations. Where's the good news? I can't find it. Company liquidations are up 27% on last year. That's serious.
That's a real sign of an economy struggling to get itself growing. And this has been our focus as a government. We've said, actually, you can spend all the money in the world, you can put band-aids on as many problems as you like, but if you don't get the underlying growth engine of the economy working again, then you won't see businesses surviving, let alone thriving. And when businesses survive and thrive, that's when jobs are created and incomes lift.
Could you have done more to help those, you're the first to admit that we've been going through hard times. You're being really honest about it, which I appreciate. But do you think that your government could actually do more to assist those small-time businesses that have had, you've labelled it perfectly. There's thousands of companies out there that have struggled through COVID, struggled through the recession, now debt loaded to hell, owe money everywhere and are struggling like hell. Could you do more?
Well, I think we've worked really hard to be on the side of business. And there's certainly things we could have done that would have made it harder for them. So I look back on the approach that we've taken, which was first of all to say, actually putting a bit of cash into New Zealanders' pocket in the form of tax relief, it ain't going to solve all of the problems. But I tell you what, without that cash, things would have been worse. Making sure that we are getting rid of some of the red tape and compliance that's been in the way of business, that on the margin is going to be helpful, and we've got more to come on that.
The government urgently needs to announce and begin some mass infrastructure projects to get some momentum underway in this economy. The PM did have his investment conference, so where are the benefits, sir? And all this has been going on while inflation has been falling, interest rates has been steadily dropping. It was thought that the lower interest rates would be the catalyst for growth. Sadly, that's yet to flow through. There just hasn't been the demand for bank credit and mortgages and things like that. Banks report that they've got plenty of capacity, but people and businesses are frozen with fear. And this economy urgently needs some life support to be administered. Now, I'm not saying Labour has the answers. Sadly, they remain a bit of a problem. Locked and loaded and latched onto the Greens and Te Pāti Māori with their mix of Labour's new taxes, the Greens' $88 billion in new taxes, and Te Pāti Māori's sovereignty and anger. Heavens, how would it work, let alone what does it stand for? It's not what we're thinking about. Now, this podcast is deliberately focusing on National because they're in power and our economy is like a teenager bunny hopping along on his first drive in his new car. It's got momentum. It needs a bit of a shot in the arm. It needs more momentum. It's got a shot in the arm, just bouncing around. All the economists are saying that the Reserve Bank will hold the OCR, that's the official cash rate, interest rates, at 3.5 next week, so they won't move it. But this was my criticism of them last time. They were too damn slow to see the real pain and damage occurring in the New Zealand economy, the real economy, in the small nooks and crannies, be careful with that word, around New Zealand. Sure, the Reserve Bank reads data and makes its call from the perspective of a committee that's widely informed, all that sort of thing. But is the data really as current and real as the real-time data? Why don't these crystal ball gazers head down to Porirua Mall, out to the regions, Wanganui, into the South Auckland, West Auckland, and actually take the temperature of the businesses and the people there? They are hurting. And I think we can go another cut. I think the Reserve Bank has once again got caught out and isn't in touch with what's going on. If they were, they'd slash the OCR and try and breathe some life into the country. Once again, I fear the legacy of Adrian Orr continues. We've got to do something now, and I fear that we aren't up to it.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Okay, so it's finally here, Wegovy, the miracle weight loss drug. And this is what they're calling it, the miracle weight loss drug. Initially unfunded, so it'll cost you $500 a month. Can you afford it? And will we take it? What are the wider benefits? Should Pharmac stump up? And when should they do this? We're joined by Auckland University nutrition expert, Boyd Swinburn, and he's with us now. Boyd, g'day, nice to have you on.
Thanks very much, Duncan.
So what does this pill, what does this drug do?
Well, this is a drug which mimics a hormone that has relatively recently been identified called GLP, and the hormone is like a conductor of the orchestra of the appetite mechanisms and a bit the glucose, the blood glucose control, blood sugar control as well. So it's a really important central hormone for managing the appetite. As you can imagine, it's there's lots of signals that go between the gut and the brain, and this is a key one. So it just mimics that, and what it does in effect is to reduce hunger and increase satiety, and people take the food noise out of people's heads. Actually, is how some people describe it.
So it suppresses hunger, but does it suppress? Yep. Because hunger is sometimes about boredom, it's sometimes about depression, it's sometimes about not getting outside enough. It's all sorts of things can lead to eating. And I wonder, does it suppress the mind? It might suppress the hunger, but does it suppress the mind? Or was it the same thing?
Well, it all operates up here in the brain.
Yeah.
That's where our appetite, that's where we sense appetite from and hunger. So, yep, it has an effect on that. But these other things you're talking about, like if you're eating because you're bored or whatever, it's not going to change that very much. But people that are trying to lose weight, that are trying to get those food noises out of their head, trying to manage their appetite and things, it's really helpful for them.
Is it a wonder drug? I mean, what does the research tell us? What's it been like in the trials and overseas and everything? Is it a wonder drug?
Well, we've been waiting for a decent drug to help with weight loss for decades. Yeah. The earlier ones were not particularly good. They might have had a few % reduction in weight over the long term, and they had a lot of side effects, so they weren't particularly effective. But this one really is effective, and when I say effective, I mean it's about 10 to 15% of weight loss, and that might not sound a lot, but that is actually clinically really important, and that level of weight loss helps to control blood sugar. It helps to prevent diabetes, prevent heart attacks, and so on. So, yeah, it's clinically significant.
So this could be really important for New Zealand because we aren't doing so well on the obesity stakes. We're not doing so well around diabetes type 2 and that sort of thing. So could this therefore sort of be, you knock off two birds with the one stone? Could it be that not only does it get someone in better shape, but that then has a downstream effect of they won't get diabetes, or they're less likely to, and they won't have a heart attack or less likely to? Is that how it works?
Yeah, that is how it works. I think you're being kind and saying we're not doing too well. In fact, we're doing appallingly. We have the second or third highest rates of obesity in the OECD, just behind the US, and we'd been doing nothing about it for decades.
Yeah.
This is an expensive way to try to deal with a preventable epidemic. But nevertheless, for people who already are struggling with their weight and want to lose weight, and it will be valuable for them for health reasons, then this is really good. This is the first time we've had a decent drug, and if weight goes down, then risks of the heart disease and especially diabetes go down, but other things like sleep apnea and so on are all improved as well.
Have we given up on the exercise? Have we given up on the healthy eating message and the exercise? Because I just look around now and I see everyone's just, even like a robot, they're on their phones, they're Uber Eating, and they're all, I just wonder, have we given up on the stuff that you've spoken about for decades?
Well, the physical activity is still important, but in terms of what's driving this obesity pandemic, it's on the energy intake side, and that's much more powerful for trying to lose weight if you want to lose weight. Don't forget that your physical activity, the energy that you spend doing exercise or going to the gym, or total physical activity, is only about 20% of your total energy expenditure. I mean, most of your energy expended, most of the energy we burn is just staying alive.
Yeah.
And so you've got to do a lot of exercise to be able to get the reduction in calories or the increase in calorie expenditure to make a difference on weight.
It's much harder as you get older, isn't it? I mean, I went to the gym just before this interview because just so I didn't feel so guilty. So I went with my son and did an hour at the gym. And I'll tell you what I see at the gym, Boyd. I see people sitting there on their phones. It does my head in, mate. I've written a column about this, but it's just, I see these young kids. You might as well not go. Don't bother.
That's an expensive way to just find a place to talk on your phone. But anyway,
isn't it though? Isn't it? So the side effects. What are the side effects? There must be something.
Well, there are side effects, and they're mainly gastrointestinal. And so when they start on the dose, they usually start with a low dose and build it up. A bit of diarrhea, constipation, bit of tummy pain, that sort of thing. So you are imitating hormones in the gut. But I think as time goes on and these different variants of the drug will come out, we'll find that they'll probably increase in effectiveness and decrease in the side effects as they tweak the formula. So when this drug comes off patent and Pharmac can seriously start negotiating with them, I think we'll see that apply to the older type drugs, and all the new whiz-bang ones with fewer side effects will still be on patent and still be expensive.
If you're rich and overweight and you can afford this, then you can use it. But if and you've done so much work in this area too, Māori Pacific Island, somewhere like that, and you're obese, but you don't have the income, you're shut out, aren't you, initially?
Well, you're totally shut out, and so the effect of having Wegovy available in New Zealand on prescription is going to increase the inequities that we have in obesity.
So. Yeah.
This is going to be of the order of $500 a month, and if you want it to have an effect, you've got to keep taking it. Drugs don't work if you don't take them. So we're talking about lifetime use. We should be thinking about this, Duncan, like we think about high blood pressure tablets and cholesterol lowering tablets.
We do that. We do that. My mate had a heart attack this year at 52, and he's got 13 pills a day that he takes. It's all funded. It's all there for him. They're trying to keep him alive.
I know. The other thing we're going to face, Duncan, when this comes to the question of funding, when Pharmac will have to go through all its mathematics and rank all the drugs that are sitting in the pipeline there wanting to be funded. But when it comes to that, there will be, I'm picking, a bit of a pushback from the public because weight is still seen as an individual responsibility issue. And there's a huge amount of weight bias in the country, and so people will have, and that's have in their mind, well, I'm a taxpayer, why should I pay for this when it's their own fault? We do not have that same thought process when it comes to high blood pressure or high cholesterol.
No.
They're caused by exactly the same set of mix of genes and lifestyle and behaviors and environment. Yeah. And yet we don't judge people in the same negative way that we judge people with weight. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge because there's this sort of deservedness element, which is based on our bias.
And people seen as lazy if they're big, if they're too big, then what are they doing with themselves? And so it's not our job to get you skinny. This could become a political election type issue, during the campaign. I can see lobby groups being set up now, and
Well, I hope it doesn't come into Pharmax equations. I hope it's just the straight numbers on cost effectiveness, and I'm sure when the price comes down, it'll be highly competitive for getting into Pharmax budget.
Yeah, I mean, can you see it? Can you see when the patent comes off that it becomes cheaper and then it will be funded? Do you see that day?
Yeah. They haven't. The drug company hasn't put in for a patent. Put in for an application for Pharmac for it to be funded at the moment. So the initiation has to come from the pharmaceutical company to put it in, and then Pharmac will look at it and they'll look at all the data around its effectiveness, and then they'll see what price they can negotiate it for, and then therefore get a cost effectiveness, and then rank it across all the other drugs that are sitting in the pipeline there.
You see, because the reason why it's probably likely to get funding too is the downstream effects. You're not just helping someone lose weight. You're stopping the hospitals having to take these people on diabetes. I mean,
precisely.
it will free up hospitals surely.
$2 billion a year we spend on treating the consequences of obesity. Wow. $2 billion a year, But the thing is, the budget that's allocated to Pharmac is quite separate from the money that is allocated to hospitals. I mean, the guys in the hospitals, they can't say, well, let's fund these drugs because that'll stop people coming in through our front door.
I know. But it has an impact though, right? If you fund the drugs, then you have fewer downstream effects there, less cost, and that's a great thing. People focus on something else. And how quickly does it work? Say if I'm 130 kgs, and I want to get to say 100, how quickly does that work?
Well, anything that relates to weight change happens progressively over time. Even if you go on a serious diet, you get a bit of a steep fall off to start with, and then it sort of levels out. And it's because if you think of it like a swimming pool, right, with a little inlet with our energy intake and a little outlet with our energy expenditure. If you just turn the tap down a little bit, 10% in your pool, it takes quite a while for the level to come down because it's a big reservoir.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with weight. We're carrying a lot of extra energy around our bodies, and in relation to how much we eat on a daily basis. So, it starts off quickly and then kind of levels out and gets to a new plateau.
How many overweight people have we got in this country that would look at using this? And is it available for kids, under 18 as well?
I think it's down to 12 years plus.
12? Oh.
Yeah. And so at the moment we've got about 2/3 of the population is overweight or obese. Now to get to meet the criteria for this drug, you have to have a BMI over 30 or a BMI over 27 plus some comorbidity, like diabetes or heart disease or sleep apnea or something.
Well, that includes a lot of people.
Half the country. It's probably half the adults.
Oh, it would be, because that's not even that high, that BMI, is it? It's 30. It's probably all
27.
of us. Yeah.
Well, it's a large hunk of the population, but it's not too dissimilar to blood pressure. I mean, I think that's probably about 20% of the population. It's big numbers. So Pharmac will probably have to keep an eye on that as well.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a great debate, and it'll be interesting to see people who come forward. You watch, and people who come forward who've been on it for a year. But look at me. You see these articles. Someone who's you'll just see it, because right now you can do those. They do those gastric operations, don't they? Is that taxpayer funded or private?
A few of them are taxpayer funded, but the vast majority is private. I mean, that's another piece of inequity in the whole obesity issue.
Well, if you're wealthy, you can buy access to cancer drugs and all sorts of things. If you're not wealthy, you die.
Yep. That's one of the consequences of how we arrange our economic systems.
It's not
creating
great.
poverty by design.
Yeah, well, poverty by design. Then they die earlier. Anyway, I think we've talked about that before. Lovely to have you on, Boyd. I'm really pleased I got you on. It's nice and clear for me. This,
okay.
and it's on the market now, isn't it? It's there now. You can go and get a prescription.
You can. Yep. Yeah. It's available.
Yeah, if you can see a GP.
If you can see a GP, it may not be immediately. Yeah.
Good on you, mate.
Another bit of our health system we've got to fix up. Okay.
Well, that's hopeless too, isn't it? Take care. Thanks, Boyd. Cheers.
Thanks.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.
Okay, Boyd Swinburn there. I'll bring in my Christchurch producer. Are we going to go for this? I think we're just going to go for a run. It's going to be really popular, isn't it? It's going to be popular, eh?
It's going to be very. I mean, you see, Ozempic is huge over in the US.
Same sort of thing, yeah.
Especially among celebrities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be huge. One, for medical reasons, and two, for just people that, can't be bothered. I very much like to think that I can. Yeah, I very much like to think that I can. Work on that better myself. I go swimming twice a week now in the morning.
I do, good man. It's good for you.
And get out and play volleyball.
You're too young for this shit.
Little things. 100%. Oh, totally. People my age should not be taking this.
No way, no. But some people, I bet people do though, bro. I bet people do. People will. People. I mean, this is going to go boom. This is going to go massive. That's quick fix. Quick fix. Anyway, we've got a letter. We've got some letters there. What have we got there?
We do indeed. This one, I don't know who it's coming from today, unless you do, Duncan.
I did.
That's okay. And not an anonymous source coming here today. They say, "Good evening, Duncan. I was listening to your podcast tonight and couldn't have agreed with you more and the gentleman from Howick. I remembered having to wait weeks to start a construction site at Beachlands due to the blessing of the land, which was just a joke. So funny, an elderly Māori worker said to me, funny how they go on, that this all needs to be done and the land was stolen, but without the blessing, we will all be doomed." He said, so doomed. Then he said it was so doomed that she is charging us $280 plus GST an hour to be there. $280 plus GST an hour.
We're all doomed. We're all doomed. We're all doomed on that. How many hours are they taking around for?
And demanded we go for breakfast after attacking us, saying we are arrogant invaders and money grabbers.
No, we can't afford the breakfast.
She was particularly attacking a civil engineer, calling his company disrespectful for not sending a board member to meet her.
Okay.
He then said a bit of Winston Peters' line, saying she is so colonized, she's driving a brand new Ford Ranger and wearing a Gucci jacket. Not a bad life for walking around and seeing and acting up. Love the show and keep it up. Finally, a voice for the people who have sense and can see through the bullshit crystal ball.
Yeah. So, thank you for your email. What do I say? We're on the same page on this. It is it's an economic standover, isn't it? $280 to look for spirits. This is not how it's meant to work. I know. That's the price of an all test match.
I know, and it's just like that's It's just like it's borderline extortion at that point, because
it's not borderline, it's extortion.
Yeah, because they can just sit there for as long as they want. They're getting paid by the hour. Oh, we're still going to do it. It needs to be regulated in some way, shape, or form, because otherwise it's a scam.
Fucking councils have just let it go loose. So I'm just going to sit here for the next 3 hours, and I'm on $280 an hour plus just and anything else that might. Yeah, I'm just observing. There might be some spirits in here.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you, mate. Yeah. I'll always get the invoice ready. Cool. Yeah. Don't interrupt me, man. I'll have to say another hour. I mean, it is extortion. It's not borderline. It bloody is. Because the council have set rates, right, for their fees. Iwi, you've got to get a hold of them. And sometimes you might be dealing with five or six iwi, and they'll give you their schedule of fees. But, there's three of us coming, and we have to drive in 100 k's. We've never been there before. Oh, God. No wonder we're fucked. Eh? So that's how I feel at the moment.
That's pretty crazy.
God, it is. Right, that's us. Thank you, brother. Thanks for your feedback and support. Get in touch through our social media at Duncan Garner, the podcast, TikTok, and Instagram. Flick us an email. Duncan at Rover. Thank you, Isaac. Awesome, bro. The man. We'll do this again tomorrow. Remember, life's no dress rehearsal, no curtain raiser. None of that. This is it. We live in one of the best places on earth. So get out and enjoy it and consult. Have a great day. Take care, New Zealand. Ta-da.
Editor-in-Chief with Duncan Garner.